Huawei is one of the largest telecommunications companies in the world. At the start of 2019, the company was expected to become the world's largest smartphone manufacturer by the end of that year, stealing the crown from Samsung. Despite this success, Huawei has dealt with numerous accusations over the years of shady business practices. Huawei has faced scrutiny from the beginning for allegedly stealing intellectual property. In brief, the company would be accused repeatedly over the decades of stealing technology from other companies and then passing it off as its own. It also has been accused, although with no hard proof, of using its products to spy on other nations. This is a worrisome thought considering the company's close ties to the Chinese government. In May 2019, United States President Donald Trump announced that Huawei, along with several other Chinese companies, was now on something called the Entity List. Companies on this list are unable to do business with any organization that operates in the United States.
We're not going to do business with Huawei. We're not doing business with them. And I really made the decision. It's much simpler not to do any business with Huawei, so we're not doing business with.
The Huawei ban thus begins, with Huawei suddenly unable to work with companies such as Google, Qualcomm, and Intel, among many others. In the case of Google, this means new Huawei smartphones are no longer able to ship with Google-owned applications pre-installed. China has annual trade surplus of approximate $300 billion with the US. China export more than $400 billion to US, and US export less than $200 billion to China. This means that the trade relationship between the world's two largest economies has significant imbalance. Since 2018, Donald Trump started to flex his power as the President of the United States to combat China and its unfair trade practices, as he called them. This began the still ongoing US-China trade war.
We're having a little squabble with China because we've been treated very unfairly for many, many decades, for actually a long time.
Although the trade war has a lot to do with politics, tariffs, and international law, it also touches on intellectual property theft. Since Huawei has a reputation as a repeat offender when it comes to IP theft, this put the company in Trump's crosshairs. So, how China government retaliated to this? Why China not ban Apple in China? Huawei products design, manufacturing, brand, employment, profit and taxation are all in China. While Apple designs and sells Apple products, it doesn't manufacture its components. Instead, Apple uses manufacturers from around the world to deliver individual parts. The manufacturers specialize in particular items, camera specialists manufacture the lens and camera assembly, screen specialists build the display, and so on. The components manufactured by those companies all around the world are ultimately sent to just two companies to assemble into iPods, iPhones, and iPads. Those companies are Foxconn and Pegatron, both of which are based in Taiwan and built plants in China. Foxconn is Apple's longest-running partner in building these devices. It currently assembles Apple's iPhones in its Longhua town, Shenzhen and Zhengzhou, Henan province in China location, although Foxconn maintains factories in countries across the world, including Malaysia, Brazil, Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Turkey, India, Japan, Mexico and US. Zhengzhou, once dominated by farmland, now has 250,000 people working to assemble Apple's smartphone. It has become the largest iPhone production site in the world, with about 350 of the devices assembled per minute on average, making up about 50% of the global iPhone output. The arrival of Foxconn's iPhone factories in Zhengzhou sparked explosive growth in the Chinese city's exports, population, and economy. Foxconn is the single largest employer in mainland China. There are 1.3 million people on its payroll. Worldwide, among corporations, only Walmart and McDonald's employ more. As many people work for Foxconn as live in Estonia. Chinese companies, including Taiwan, account for about 30% of Apple suppliers' total numbers along Apple's supply chain, but manufacturing branches or factories are more significant in quantity terms. Among 830 branches related to Apple products, 380 are based in mainland China, weighing in at around 46%. Over 380 suppliers to Apple in China cover almost every section of the American tech giant's smartphone manufacturing industry chain, from expensive components, such as display panels and chip packaging services, to cheaper elements such as acoustic components and printed circuit boards. This map presents the geographic distribution of Apple's manufacturing branches in China. Among China's 34 provincial-level administrative regions, 19 are involved with the U.S. company's supply chain. Though many of the factories are the suppliers of suppliers along the complex value chain, and are of comparably high fungibility, Apple's business performance or policies that would affect the bilateral transactions and the economies of these regions are still highly correlated. The 380 branches that participate along the supply chain are concentrated in the Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta, which account for 46% and 38% of the total number in China, respectively. The Yangtze River Delta area, as the country's most important economic region, which contributed around 20% to China's total GDP in 2019, is deeply drenched in the U.S. firm's supply chain as well. With 173 related branches rooted, the region is not only distinguished in quantity, but also in technology advancements, as most of the Apple-related products there are technology-intensive. The major categories are display panels, semiconductor components, final assembly and other components related to antenna and acoustic modules. The second most involved region is the Pan-Pearl River Delta, with 144 Apple supplier branches. In this region, Guangdong Province contributed the most, as Guangdong and Shenzhen have been engaged with the technology industry since 1978, the period of economic reform, and have nurtured considerable technology giants such as Huawei, ZTE, Tencent, the BBK Group and countless promising startups. As a causal trait, Guangdong harbors the most comprehensive electronic industry chain. The central region that comprises Shandong, Shaanxi and Henan is comparatively more labor-intensive, as Shandong and Henan are the second and third populated provinces in China. Businesses along the Apple supply chain are mainly related to Foxconn's final assembly lines and Gore-Tex audio components. Apple's industry chain also involves the livelihoods of countless software and hardware developers in China. Apple's products are exported globally, with high added value. Thus, it affords to pay industry chain. Apple said it had supported more than 5 million jobs in China through its local companies, research and development centers, local suppliers and third-party mobile application developers on its App Store. If Apple is banned in China, Foxconn will relocate its production line, molds, fixtures, and equipment to other countries. The other Apple industry chain will either follow Foxconn or shut down. Taken together, banning Apple means the unemployment of millions of Foxconn, Apple direct and indirect suppliers, workers, and countless Apple developers. The foreign exchange surplus of $1 billion a year will disappear, Foxconn's peripheral industry chain and services will all collapse. Do you know how many families' livelihoods will be affected by this? Also, if China banned the production and sales of Apple in China, those American, Japanese, and European companies would feel they are at risk. For example, Hewlett-Packard, Dell, Microsoft, Sony, Panasonic, Philips, Siemens, Nike, Walmart, etc. They will plan and find a way to relocate its industrial chain to Southeast Asia and South Asia. China was a country that welcomes foreign investment. Many Chinese officials, including leaders of many provinces and cities, have tried to bring in foreign companies, creating many job opportunities and tax income to government. If there is a mass relocation trend of foreign companies from China, the achievements of China's open-door policy during these years will be burned in a short period. Thus, China's counterattack cannot be done in the same way as the U.S. China's countermeasures are also obvious: hit the U.S.'s planes, cars, and soybeans. These products' industry chains, employment opportunities, and taxes are all in the United States. The sanctions will have minimal impact on China.